how did this guy come from Guatemala to do what he does now? I mean, it's a completely change of scenery.
As far as like the mentality of business, I always had it because my mom always had a business and my dad always figured things out.
There's a lot of people pitching like 0% interest. Hey, that sounds really attractive, but I haven't really dove deep into the fact that they're eventually going to charge me a fee.
It's buying power, right? So you got to put that into perspective. What you can afford today without any credit at all is a big difference than if you had $200,000 in your pocket.
I want to either do marketing, I want to hire more people, and I want to pretty much put their salaries on credit for a little bit while I build up the business and make the money back. Kind of.
To make money, you have to spend money. And what's the best way to do it? Not use your own money, but use the bank's money.
Elvis Somoza, he's an entrepreneur, he's a credit expert, and he's a funding expert as well. Elvis, thanks for coming on, man.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for having me.
I'm in the real estate and the real estate of mind.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 13 of the Real Estate of Mind podcast. Today I got a great guest that's going to help us do a lot of things, a lot of educational stuff. We're going to, apparently we're going to be traveling for free soon, so I can't wait for that, right? So Elvis Somoza, he's an entrepreneur, he's a credit expert, and he's a funding expert as well. Elvis, thanks for coming on, man.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So in the beginning, I got away from it, but a lot of people like to hear my guests' background because, we're eventually going to talk about, where you are now and, all the cool things you're doing now and all the businesses you're in and things like that. Mm-hmm. But I usually, let's start with your background, where you came from, because I think, you have a pretty cool story that we can kind of discuss a little bit. So, let's talk about where you came from.
Yeah, so pretty much like you said, my name is Elvis Somoza. I'm 31. For the past 4 years, I've been a full-time entrepreneur. I have background in credit. That's what is the backbone of everything I do. Credit allows me to get into businesses without having to spend money out of my own pocket. Allows me to travel. Allows me to. There's so many loopholes when it comes to credit that it pretty much is like a key that opens a bunch of doors.
Right.
So and as far as background, I mean, not that long ago, I had a regular job just like everybody else. I used to work at Costco, and I was there making $20,000 a year, but at the time I had about $20,000 to $25,000 worth of debt at 25% interest, because they give you that 0% for.
So you had $20,000 to $25,000 worth of debt at the credit cards on credit
card debt. Yeah. And at 25% interest, because the introductory period had run out.
For sure.
And as a man, you had to figure things out, because you can't just live with debt the rest of your life and not. You always have that in the back of your head that I got to start a family, I got to be able to provide. So as long as you're doing things to improve that, you'll get out of it. Yeah. But if you don't do anything, and you get, let's say you get someone pregnant, you start a family, and you can't even provide for yourself because everything's going towards debt, it's a tough reality. And that actually hit me about 5 years ago. And I started researching on Google, just like everybody else, and how to get out of debt. And I found a couple places that where some they look like scams, so I just didn't even look into it. But some of them seem legit. I looked up the background on it, results on YouTube, all kinds of research, and I found this one called Getting Out of Debt Program, National Debt Relief. It's what it's called.
Yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah.
It's a good idea if you really don't know much about credit. Knowing what I know now, I wouldn't do it. But if you were just out of options, it sounded great to me at the time, so I was like, Let's do it. And what they do is they tell you you owe $20,000 or $25,000. We're going to negotiate the debt with the creditors, and instead of making your payments to the credit cards, you make one payment to an escrow account, and then once we negotiate your debt to a certain number, we'll pay it off. And I was like, oh, that sounds great to me.
Who's gonna pay it off?
The National Debt Relief.
The companies they're a creditor themselves, right? Or
no. So they're like. I guess they're just like a bunch of lawyers that negotiate debt, that settle debt.
You're talking about a debt settlement.
Yeah, debt settlement.
Yeah, a lot of my friends are in this space, but yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it works. It does what it's supposed to do. But what they don't tell you is that they mess up your credit. Obviously, they tell you to default all your credit cards for 6 months before they start negotiating.
Right.
So, long story short, I signed up for it. Fast forward about a year or two, I was 100% out of debt, but I had no credit. And that's when I realized, without credit, I can't get a house. I can't get a car. I can't even get an apartment.
Mm-hmm.
I can't get credit cards. I can't do anything. Mm-hmm. So what I'm making at work, which is not much, is all I have to play with. And most of it is going to car payment, to my rent. So I was like, okay, now I need to figure out how to fix this credit. Same process. I went on Instagram, YouTube, and Google and started looking up how to repair credit. Bunch of scams as well, until I finally found this one guy who had fixed my friend's credit. Mm-hmm. He was like, he's legit. He fixed my credit. So I was like, okay, I have a little bit of extra money now, so let me invest into this. I had paid him like $1,500.
You're still at Costco at this point?
Yeah. Because I had no room to like go and take a risk, because I was very limited as far as cash.
Yeah.
And I paid the $1,500. Then I was just patient. It took me about a year for it to get clean, maybe less, maybe like 6 months. Once it was completely wiped, everything was like I never had credit. Mm-hmm. That's when I got to work, because in the process, since I decided to get out of debt, I started learning how to build credit. And I found 2 guys on Instagram that were teaching everything about credit, how to get it started, how to get large lines of credit, how to use it to travel, how to do everything.
Right.
And they had a course at the time, and they had a bunch of followers. Back when like Instagram, like if you have a bunch of followers, that means you're successful, which is not the case anymore. But at the time, I was like, okay, like they probably know what they're talking about. So I decided to reach out to them, and they were like, yeah, we have this course. It's $10,000.
It's a lot of money, man.
Yeah, well, I didn't have it.
10 G's is a lot for a course.
I had just got out of debt, and I was like, I definitely don't have credit.
This is for credit repair or credit? What is this for? Exactly?
Everything about credit, like credit repair, credit, build credit, how to start business credit, how to leverage it to travel for free. It was a bunch of basic stuff. It wasn't really too complex, but I didn't know any better, and I'm like, okay, you know what? I can go to school and, spend like $40,000 on a degree that I might not even use, or I can spend $10,000. I just got out of 20. I know if everything goes south, it's gonna take me about a year to come out of it. So I was like, whatever, I'll do it. Luckily, my mom and my sister had good credit, so I was like, hey, like let me borrow $5,000 each. I promise you, I'll pay you back. And
they're like, no.
Yeah, they were like super skeptical, but
what did you tell them? How did you get that, or are they just really nice and they or did you have to like convince them?
Yeah, I did have to convince them. Obviously,
it's a lot
they
of money.
see me. Yeah, but they saw how disciplined I was for 2 years. So I mean, that like shows that it's not going to be the same result. But long story short, like I said, I ended up paying for it. I started hopping on Zoom calls with 2 that ended up becoming my mentors. Taught me everything about how to build and scale credit, build and scale business credit, basics of everything that I know now.
Okay.
And so by the time my credit was repaired fully, I knew exactly what to do to get it to where it needed to be. Mm-hmm. So 6 months later, I had about $100,000 worth of credit lines under my personal credit. 6 months after that, I had another 100 under my business. And I started investing with it. Obviously, it wasn't like a home run from the beginning business that I started. I lost maybe $80,000 on the first thing that I tried to invest.
And what was that?
E-commerce. I went onto Amazon, Walmart.
FBA?
Yeah, all that.
How far did you get in? Because, I mean, I used to be in that space.
So I feel like in 2016, everyone was in it.
I was in it, and I partnered with a friend in middle of 2014. He's actually still doing it today, and he's doing well. But anyway, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I think it's a good business if you do it yourself and you know what you're doing. But I think the mistake comes when people try to offer automation. And they offer it to a bunch of people. They charge
I see it
a flat
everywhere,
fee.
By the way. It's every ad. If you have an extra $20,000, add in. And actually, one of my family members was asking me because she's trying to get out of the space that she's in now. She's in like the Hollywood space. She's in the background doing scripts and things like that. Mm-hmm. And she's trying to get out. And she asked me about Amazon FBA, and she knows because she knows that I used to do it. So why are you saying why are you saying the automation thing isn't working or won't work, or what's the deal?
The thing is that at the time, okay, there's a short period of time of like 2-3 years where it was booming. There was no restrictions. Everything, like whatever you sell, it's going to sell because there was no competition. So, and that was around 2016, 2015, 2017. After that, they started becoming very, very strict. They added rules that were their terms of service pretty much said that we're allowed to change our terms of service without letting you know. and they started suspending a bunch of accounts without an explanation. And people that had $20,000-$30,000 worth of product, they had it frozen there without like any way of getting it out.
Because they don't want to sell that product anymore, or
Because
you're not approved. Your account's not approved to sell that product. Things like
either
that.
that or there was an issue where like people that became good during those 3 years, they were like, okay, it's slowing down. How can I make money? I'm gonna sell it as a done for you service, and I'm gonna charge 20, 30, 40 grand. You can definitely market that with your old results and get attention. So they created this package, and then they mass sold it to hundreds of people. So they made a lot of money, but
even,
at the results weren't there anymore because it was already dying down. So if you have a good background, you have the content, you have everything, you have the nice cars and everything to back it up. Of course, people are going to want to know what you're doing, and it might make you a couple $100. It might make you a couple $1,000, but it's not going to be the same as if you do it yourself. Because it's all trial and error. Like, if it was that good, you would be doing it yourself for yourself. Like, there would be no need to go and expand it to other people.
For sure.
I actually decided to check it out because I knew nothing about it. And
this is when you were younger. You're trying to really, start a career, basically. You're trying to make money, yeah.
I was like, okay, I'm out of debt. Like, what can I do to make money? And because I had always learned that to make money, you have to spend money. And what's the best way to do it? Not use your own money, but use the bank's money. So obviously you have to be smart. You have to do a lot of research. You have to make sure that it's not just like, oh, here's the money, like, pay me. Like, it's a process. And I always tell people, like, even because we offer Turo, right? We offer that as a service. But I always tell people, like, this is not going to get you rich. It might increase your income a couple $100 or even $1,000. But it's not something that's going to, have you traveling all over the world, doing all the things you want to do.
Yeah.
So I try to be realistic with people. And what they were selling at the time was very unrealistic results. So...
but there's no guarantee on this stuff.
There's absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And
you said you lost 80 grand doing this.
Yeah, because I bought one store for myself, one for my mom.
What do you mean you bought a store?
I bought an automation store. So I paid someone to, automate it for me. And it was 40 grand.
Yeah, 40 grand a store?
Yeah.
What do you get for this 40 grand?
Like a team that does the product research.
What about the actual inventory?
I had to still pay for it with a credit card. And that's what I was doing. Because I was like, okay, I have the credit cards. I have the 0%. I have the large limits to buy product. There's no big issue. Little did I know that...
But they're sourcing the product for you.
Yeah.
And they're just asking for payment from China, basically, I'm sure.
Some U.S. suppliers, I think they were all over the place, to be honest. But that was, none of my concern at the time because I'm like, if I'm paying for you guys to do it, I don't want to know. Just here's the cards, buy it, and then give me the result. Dumb idea. That was not what I was supposed to do.
That doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Because you're not putting in enough effort to make the kind of results that you want to see, I feel like. But anyway, go ahead.
But behind good marketing, anyone will get tricked into doing something like that. Mm-hmm. And especially when you have no background on how to make money. Obviously, if I tell you, oh, look, I drive this car. Yeah. And I got this car because, I've been doing this for a while. You could do the same. Because that's the pitch on most automation.
Yeah. The nice cars, the houses.
Yeah, and you're hating your job, hating your car, hating your situation. You're like, man, I trust them. Here's the money. And but long story short, I came to realize that it wasn't what it was supposed to be. Luckily, I had started my business on helping people how to get lines of credit to start businesses, and it was very lucrative. So I was able to come back from that 80K loss within less than a year. Wow. And after that, I just realized, you know what? Everyone needs an active income, and you can funnel active income to passive, but it's not going to get you rich. You can scale that and eventually replace your job or, just pay your rent or things like that, which is the route that I decided to go afterwards. But yeah, it took me about a year to recover from that bad investment. After that, just started researching how can I make money by leveraging my credit. And there's a bunch of things out there that you can do. There's very high risk, there's very low risk. But because I had come from making 2 high risk investments, I didn't want to get into that space anymore. So I was like, okay, I want mid to low risk. Even if I make $500 on an investment, I'd rather do that and scale it to like 5 different things and just cover my rent. Because a lot of people don't realize, like, if you cover your rent, like, you're almost free, right? As long as you're not driving an expensive car.
Yeah, for sure. Housing's the big. I mean, I'm in housing, man. Housing's the biggest expense. 33% of your income is usually going to go to housing.
And it's probably like more for like the average person because I mean you find like 5, 6 friends living in a house splitting the rent.
Yeah.
When
that's the point. That's to make it lower, but.
but
yeah.
I mean it's almost impossible as a single, like, you know, having a regular job with a median income, like there's no way you're paying rent. You have to charge your kids.
In this area, yeah. It's tough. This area is too expensive to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I started researching different things, meeting people. I was really big into networking at the time because I was getting invited to speak at events, and I just figured like networking is key to meet people in different industries.
Mm-hmm.
You'll know if they're legit or not because you'll meet people that know them.
Yeah.
They'll tell you like, oh yeah, they mean business. They're really not that good. Stay away.
Right.
So. Just trial and error, just like that. I started meeting some quality people that had a good service behind them and started making smaller investments on the sides, and until I found the ones that made the most sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I've been doing for the past like 2 years now. And I focus mainly, my active income is helping people start businesses by leveraging their credit.
Mm-hmm.
I teach people how to improve their credit, how to leverage it to do different things, get into assets, travel. So I do like courses when it comes to that. It's mainly one-on-one. I don't really sell like buy my course and you get all this. It's just like
does that now.
When people reach out to me,
yeah.
I'm like, okay, yeah, I can teach you, or I can do this for you, and we can figure out something that works for both of us.
Sure.
So that's my main active income, and I also do Turo. This is a great way to start generating passive income, semi-passive income, because
yeah. Let's talk about I want to go back to. We'll go back to Turo, but I don't want to get too off topic. I know, you talked about a lot about your background and where you came from, but I want to talk about where you actually came from.
Oh, yeah.
We want to go back to that because I know that, I don't know too much about your like childhood and things like that, but to do what you do now, to have the mindset that you do now, you immigrated from Guatemala, correct?
Yeah, so we moved here when I was 15.
Okay, so not super long ago. So you did a lot of schooling,
yeah,
and
most of it.
Most of your schooling was in Guatemala.
Yeah,
and you ended up finishing high school here in.
Did
you guys moved to California?
Yeah, California, Rancho. We've been there since we moved here. Okay. So it's been like half of my life now because I'm 31 and I moved here at 15.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had that background.
It's a way different lifestyle. So I'm just thinking, like, how did this guy come from Guatemala to do what he does now? I mean, it's a completely change of scenery and things like that.
Yeah, 100% different. Like, the mentality of people is different. The way people treat you is different. The way people see business is different. Everything is 100% different.
Yeah.
Violence is 100% different.
Yeah.
But pretty much out there, we were living a very comfortable life. My mom always had her own business. My dad worked for the government. And we never really had to struggle financially, but it was very, very, the crime rate was very high to the point where there was kidnappings in my family. It was like really bad. And my mom was like, my dad actually passed because of a bad situation over there.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then my mom decided to just get us out of there because we were young. Like it's just me and my sister's younger. And it was just my mom. So she just decided, you know what?
She's like, we're getting the hell out of here.
Yeah. And it was literally overnight because it was getting really bad. It was getting really bad out there. Like, I remember being at the house and looking outside the window, and there'd be like a random car parked outside of my window. And we lived in a private community where you needed to like say who you are before. We had guards at the gate. It was very safe, but even then
supposedly safe. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then we would get calls like threatening like certain. They just wanted money, and my mom just decided to be like, you know what? It's not safe for us. We don't know if we're gonna be here too long if we stay here, so let's just leave. We literally packed our like a backpack and took a plane and left.
So you just got on a plane? Do you have a crazy story about? You don't have a crazy story about getting over the border? You just literally went on a plane?
Yeah, no, because
filed asylum or something?
Yeah, exactly. So because my dad worked for the government, because he was killed over there, because we had proof of like calls that we were receiving, because we had all that backing it up. As soon as we got here, we applied for an asylum. And unfortunately, we ran into a bad lawyer who just wanted to milk money out of us. And we show up to court. He didn't have anything prepared. It was a mess. But they extended it almost like 15 years. It's not until this year that I become a citizen.
Oh wow! Congratulations.
And I've been a resident. Thank you. I've been a resident since I moved here. But luckily I never had to not have papers.
Yeah.
But as far as like the mentality of business, I always had it because my mom always had her business, and my dad always figured things out. So I didn't grow up with parents who just had a regular job. Mm-hmm. So I always see like the freedom, like. It's not like, I had to go clock in. I never saw that in my family. I wasn't until I moved here. But when I moved here, it was a little bit tough because I didn't speak I didn't speak English. I knew the basics because school there is extremely hard compared to the one here.
The education system,
I had, over here you have 8 classes a day. Or maybe less actually.
Less than that. 8 classes for are you talking about high school maybe?
Yeah.
No, 8 classes seems like a lot.
Maybe
I
like
don't think we had
6, 7 periods?
Maybe, yeah.
Okay.
I would say 6 to 7 max, yeah.
Okay, so see, out there we had 16 classes.
And where the hell do you get all the time to do 16 classes?
So they alternated. They have like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is this. Monday, Wednesday, Friday is this. So we had like 4 English classes, 4 Spanish, a couple arts, music. It was all over the place, but it was very, very advanced too because I was in pretty much like middle school over here, and I was learning things that I didn't even learn about in high school. So it's 100% different. And when I moved here, I came with the mentality that everyone's judging me because in Hispanic countries that's how they are. Like you make a mistake, you're being judged, and they'll make fun of you for it. So. For the first year when I moved here, I wasn't even talking to anyone because I was afraid that people were going to make fun of me. Once I started realizing that it wasn't that case. If I would mess up a word, they would just be like, oh, this is how you say it.
Yeah.
So it encouraged me to start messing up more.
We're a big Hispanic community here in Southern California. Here, yeah. So.
And they were just like telling me, oh, that's not how you say it. You say it like this. So just encouraged me to start messing up more. Because I was like, okay, this is how I'm going to learn. So
I would have never known, by the way. Never known. Yeah, you're.
Usually, if I'm like nervous or like there's a bad situation, like it will come out, but it's rare. It's rare. I feel like I still can hear it sometimes, but.
Nah, you're good. Yeah, you're good, man. Good for you. Anyway.
That pushed me to learning, and within like a year, I was like comfortable with speaking with the people. And it happened to be the year that I graduated. After that, I was like, okay, like, I don't know anything about the system here. I didn't know the system in Guatemala either because I was too young.
You're a kid, yeah.
So I was like, okay, like, I see my mom going to work. I see my cousins going to work. Everyone's going to work. Mm-hmm. All right, so let me get a job. My first job was selling knives door to door. I think it's called, like, Cutco or something like that.
I actually did that as well for, like, literally, like, 24 hours.
Yeah, it's very short because no one wants to do that.
I ain't doing that.
I did it for like a week because we were struggling when we first moved here. We had nowhere to live.
I don't know if they dropped me off. I remember they dropped me off in the middle of the hood. Like we're like.
Oh, you were selling vacuums.
I was vacuums.
Yeah, because they throw you in a van. It's like almost like kidnapping borderline.
It was. I did it for like a day. They literally threw me. We went to like Compton to knock doors to sell. Yeah, it just reminded me of knives because I think I almost got into the knives thing too. I was young, man.
Yeah,
I was like,
and you probably found it on like
19 or something.
Craigslist or something, right? Because that's how we used to find jobs back in the day.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Anyway, that's crazy. Yeah, I hated it. I was like, what the hell am I doing here? Anyway, so go with your knives.
No. So I did that, and it got me more comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah, and super uncomfortable. Yeah.
Yeah, because you're just like literally knocking on someone's door, and like with a set of knives, and you're like, you wanna let me show you how to cut a rope, and they're like, just get out of here. And I'm like, all right.
That's.
But eventually, after that, I got a bunch of jobs. I've had every kind of job you can think of. I worked at the movies, at Raging Waters, like selling knives, selling not the vacuums, but Eventually, I ended up with network marketing. I feel like that's like the start for a lot of entrepreneurs, getting into Amway, getting into Primerica, getting into all those things.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm
familiar with both of those. Yeah.
I was doing these energy drinks. They were like a healthier alternative to energy drinks. It's called Verve. Yeah. So I did that.
Shout out. Yeah.
You did that?
No, basically one of my best friends and now it's my wife's cousin. They bring they bring like a pack literally to our house of Verve. They were trying to sell it, but it's yeah, my buddy. I'm not even gonna say his name. He knows who he is. So yeah, he's the one that I got into FBA with. So he's similar, mindset. That's always trying to like kind of do a little side hustle. But he was trying to do the Verve thing. And I was like, yeah, I'm good. I'm not selling Verve.
I mean, the thing at the end of the day, like network marketing does give you the discipline. Because they always tell you like, oh, read this book, Think and Grow Rich. Read this book. All the Grant Cardone books, all those books. So you start like educating yourself and you realize, okay, like I'm going to try this and figure out if it takes off. If it takes off. If not, then it's not for me. So for me, it started taking off, but the business collapsed like within like 6 months. So then I was like already burnt with network marketing. I was like, I don't ever want to hear about it. Fast forward like a little bit more time. I heard about another one. It was Enagic. It was about selling ionizers. Like, it's a water machine that you connect to your faucet that turns your regular water into drinking water. Mm-hmm. It's very healthy. Mm-hmm. So I was behind the concept because I liked the product. Mm-hmm. So I went and purchased it. And they were like, oh, it's a business too. If you refer anyone, you get paid. And I was like, I'm going to tell everyone I know because I do enjoy the benefits of it. Within like, I don't know, like 3 months, I ended up selling maybe like $60,000 worth of product. Moved up quick, but I didn't really like some of the things that were going on behind the scenes and just slowed down with it. And I was like, okay, I'm working at Costco now. I can move up every year, even if I do absolutely nothing to change myself.
Great job, by the way. Nothing wrong with this.
No, absolutely not.
Great job. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like they have good benefits. Yeah. They pay you very good, and that's what got me started. Right, I was like, okay, like now I'm getting older. I can take more risks because I don't have anyone holding me back. I don't have a lot of debt. Let me try to figure things out. At the end of the day, this job is gonna be almost like a parachute for me. Yeah. If I fail over there, I'm still gonna land here. Next year, I'm gonna make more money. Mm-hmm. So I treated it like that, and that's when I decided to fix my credit and do all those things. But yeah, that's pretty much that.
Nice. And then you eventually, we didn't really you talked a little bit about the mentor. Mm-hmm. Because I was telling you before we kind of started that's what I really lacked, and that's what pretty much caused my delay in any sort of success that I could possibly have in this business, was that I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have somebody telling me pretty much the pathway towards success, and I was just running wild, man. So it sounds like you had somebody kind of in your ear and somebody to help you out. So talk a little bit about that person and how much they helped you.
Yeah, so I think over the past few years, I've had multiple mentors. I feel like anyone you meet can teach you something. I've never really been hard-headed thinking that I know everything because that's the easiest way to fail. Mm-hmm. When I was learning about credit repair, I took everything they told me. Literally, I started applying everything. Within, I would say, 2-3 weeks of me making that $10,000 payment, I made it back. So I was like, okay, to
that program you talked about earlier.
Yeah, so I paid the $10,000, and within a few weeks, I made those $10,000 back.
Can you talk a little? How did you make the $10,000 back?
Yeah, so pretty much it's what I do now with funding and business funding. So let's say you want to start a business, and obviously you have great credit. Okay. Then I educate you on. There's 2 ways to go about this. You can leverage your personal credit. Obviously, it's going to impact your credit, or we can go business credit, which is not going to affect your personal credit because any line of credit you get under your business doesn't report to your personal credit. Mm-hmm. You're still liable for it. You still have to pay it. But like I said, it's going to be under your business. It's almost like co-signing. So
personal guarantee.
Personal guarantee, yeah. So if you default, if you don't make your payments, then it will pop up on your personal credit. But as long as you're making your payments on time, it's going to be hidden. And I educated people on that. Some people were like, okay, I'm going to use my personal credit because I don't have a business. Some people were like, I have a three-year-old LLC, and I have great credit. I'm like, okay, let's go the business route. So I started attracting a bunch of people because I started creating content on what I was doing. At the time, I was doing Amazon. So I was getting some decent results because in the first 6 months, I was getting some results before it got shut down. So everyone wanted to do what I was doing.
Your FBA business?
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
And I was like, okay, this store is like $40,000. Obviously, I didn't have it. I had to use credit to buy it. And a lot of people decided to hop on board too. And I helped them get lines of credit. At the time, I was charging very, very little. I was charging $500 to get you $100,000.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, how do these people? Yeah, go ahead. You charge a fee or does?
Yeah. Okay. So I charge a success fee. Now, because of the experience that I have, because there's people that do this on the side that are like extremely overpromise and overcharge you and underdeliver. So I just figured out that the sweet spot is charging 10% of what I get you. So if I get you $5,000, it's $500. If I get you $20,000, it's $2,000. So
what if you give me like $200,000?
It's $20,000, and I mean
that's a good chunk of money.
Yeah, but the thing is that it's buying power, right? So you got to put that into perspective. What you can afford today without any credit at all is a big difference than if you had $200,000 in your pocket. Think about if I'm sure you have like a lot of money in your savings, but think about it if you were like, you know what, for 12 months, you don't have to pay interest. But just make sure you have a solid plan so that you can pay it off.
That's the problem. The solid plan.
Exactly. So that's when I started making my money. I started referring people to these stores, and the people who were running them actually reached out to me, and they're like, "Hey, how are you referring all these people?" And they're like, "Well, I do funding, and everyone wants to do what I'm doing right now because I showed the results, obviously, and it's working." So they flew me out to Vegas, and they were like, "We want to pay you for referring people." And that was another like big shift for me because I was like, okay, like I didn't expect anything.
Yeah.
And they were like, we're gonna pay you 10% of all the people that you referred. So let's say I had referred like five people, and at $40K, that's $4,000 profit times 5 people. That's 20. I'm like, yo, I'm making this at Costco in a year, and I just made this in a day. So I was like, okay, like that completely changed my perspective, and I was like, okay, I need to pay more attention to this. So I focused on doing that for the rest of the year. It went really well. And but it collapsed. The business failed.
This FBA business that you were referring people to.
Yeah. So it was like I almost in a way took a hit as well because people were like looking to me for advice.
100%. You were the referral source. So yeah.
But the thing is, I always educated people like, hey, like this is what I'm doing because I can see a vision, and it's like I see the vision, and obviously there's risks, and everyone decided to make their own decision. So maybe like 1 or 2 people out of like hundreds of people that ended up purchasing like came back in a negative way, but everyone else, even now, like I still try to help out on like moving debt to your business, doing things to like improve your credit, and still like trying to do the right thing. And at the end of the day, like when you're honest about what you're doing, it's not going to come back to you because you're being transparent.
No, 100%. You gave that disclaimer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And so that's that. Your question was
about the mentor.
Yeah, the mentor. So these people, I paid them to do that, and through applying everything I was doing, I was able to make those $10K back. And I was like, okay, like let me see what they're about. They were traveling all the time. They were driving nice cars. And I'm like, I want to have that. And I'm like, okay, if I want to have what they have, I got to do what they do.
Of course. So
that's another shift for me. I'm like, okay, like I need to stop listening to people that talk down on your dreams and your goals and don't really have what you want. Mm-hmm. And because growing up, when you have no guidance, everyone has advice. Everyone's going to tell you why you should or shouldn't do the things you want to do.
Right.
But you got to always ask yourself, like, okay, do they have what I want? Otherwise, like, why am I going to pay attention? So that whole year, I was like, okay, if you don't have what I want, I'm just not even going to pay attention. Obviously, if they're older, if they're family, I'll respect it, but I'm not gonna accept it as my reality. Mm-hmm. And you can find mentors on like YouTube. That's one big thing that I was doing. There's a lot of people on YouTube that give good knowledge. You don't necessarily have to know the person. There's books. If you think about it, a book is someone's entire life experience put into like a little book. Mm-hmm. And you save years of experience by just reading it. So I was doing audiobooks. I don't really like reading, so I was doing audiobooks. I was doing YouTube. I was meeting people at networking events, learning from them. And I think that's how I decided to start finding mentors to help me get to where I needed to be, mm-hmm. or to where I'm at now, I guess, in health, in business, in mentality, in almost everything. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't have like a one particular mentor that I'm like, okay, this is the person that's been guiding me.
Yeah.
It's been multiple people in like different not just one person, but it could be, like I said, like an audiobook or YouTube video.
Nice. Okay, so you kind of got information from everybody, and then you put it together and you created your kind of business structure, the way that you work, mm-hmm. From all these people.
Yeah.
dude, that's amazing. That's crazy that you were able to do that, because a lot of people are, first of all, a lot of people don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of people, like me, will go out and make a million mistakes before I actually become successful. And the biggest teacher is people's past mistakes. So,
Yep.
Let's talk a little bit about you were talking about the business lines.
Mm-hmm.
I even want to get a business line. I've been looking. I want to grow my business. And I've seen a lot of people with 0%, because now I went on one ad, and you know what happens on Instagram, my feed and my Facebook and all that other crap. It's flooded with ads of 0% interest. So I had a couple questions, and you already answered one. And because if this guy's like basically making me apply to obviously I'm in the space a little bit. I kind of know kind of what's going on. So I was gonna do it myself. But then these guys are like, there's a lot of people pitching like 0% interest. Hey, that sounds really attractive, but I haven't really dove deep into the fact that they're eventually going to charge me a fee. Mm-hmm. I thought, honestly, they might get a kickback from some of the credit companies where they don't charge the client an upfront fee, but you're saying, well, number one, it sounds like they're not, and you're paying essentially an origination fee to these people. And I guess you don't have to be licensed to do this, right? Yeah.
No. So the thing is that when it comes to this type of business, you need to do a lot of research. It's because you got to deal with underwriters. You got to deal with bankers. You got to deal with people that have the knowledge, because banks change the rules all the time. So, like, let's say, do you bank with Chase?
I have one account there, yeah.
Okay, so let's say Chase has an internal rule. It's not really disclosed to, like, everyone. But if you're a banker, if you're an underwriter, you know this. They call it the 524 rule, where if you have applied to more than 5 cards in the past 24 months, even if your credit score is 850, automatically declined. So every bank has
business and personal?
Business and personal. So if you don't know this and you want to create a sequence of applications to get you the higher results, and you start with Chase and you get declined, now you got an inquiry that makes it harder for you to get approved for the next card. And let's say you don't know this with 2 or 3 banks and you get 3 denials. Now you have 3 inquiries on your credit. So now the odds of you getting approved to the next one just became smaller. So knowing exactly what banks are lending right now, what data points they need, you can create a sequence of applications in a particular order, knowing what information to put in everything. You obviously have to go with real information. You don't ever want to fake things. But there's certain things that will trigger financial reviews with American Express. Let's say you put...
I have a lot of accounts with American Express, so I was thinking about just hitting them up, but they don't have a 0%.
They have a few. But if you have so for business, they have 2 at 0%.
But I'm talking about a business line and not a credit card.
Well, see, there's 2 routes when it comes to that. If you want to get the line of credit, you can definitely do that. I know you're a business owner, so you probably write off the interest. Uh-huh. But most people that are just getting started, they don't want to pay the interest, especially right now that it's extremely high. Mm-hmm. So how do you avoid that and sometimes even get more than what the line of credit would have been? You get it in the form of a credit card. 1, it gives you the 0%. 2, you probably are going to get way more than what you would have got in the form of a loan. And you're going to avoid paying that interest. So if I tell you, okay, I can give you a line of credit of $100,000 at 8% interest, you're going to end up paying $8,000 if it takes you a year to pay it off. Now, if I tell you, if you pay it off within 1 year, most people won't be able to pay it off in a year. So let's say 5 to 7 years, you're going to pay $8,000 the first year, or a little bit under that. Let's say you pay 10 to 20% off. You pay 6, then the next year 4, next year,
no,
and then it's just going to
rate's going to go up. 8%'s not a.
See, it depends if you get like line of credit that adjusts with the rate or one that's locked in.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're talking about a line of credit and not a credit card.
Not a credit card.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So with a credit card, you avoid all that. You pay a one-time fee. Now you get the same amount of money. Let's say it's been 12 months and you still haven't paid it off. You can get another card and do a balance transfer, and you can potentially always have it at 0% without having to pay extra money or give money to the bank. Mm-hmm. So it always comes with being smart. Obviously, like not buy everything that sounds good just because you have access to money. Mm-hmm. But if you're in real estate, right, or you do Turo, or you do this, like, and you plan it out, and you're like, okay, I only need $20,000 and I can pay it off max a year and a half. Okay, like let's say you paid 75% off the first year, get it on the card, do a balance transfer, you have it at 0% again, and now you paid it off without having to use any of your own money. So that's the ideal business, because at the end of the day, like the reason why most businesses fail is because lack of funds. Mm-hmm. So they invest all their hard-earned money. Let's say to save too, it's hard because cost of living, especially if you live in this area. So let's say somehow you save $20,000 and you're like, okay, I'm going to invest into this business, 20 grand. 2-3 months doesn't go as planned. You go bankrupt because you don't have like any backup money. So what I teach people is keep that same money that you have in the bank, use the bank's money at 0%. There's a rainy day, a couple months that it's not making the rent, it's not making the profits, then touch your savings, use it for that. And then you mitigate risk. So that's how I teach people how to get into investments, get into assets in general.
But how do we end up taking, so if I get a credit card, essentially, what do you teach your people on removing the money? Because a lot of places, they don't take credit card. Not a lot of places, but when you're making an investment, you need cash. Mm-hmm. You don't need a credit card. So what's your method of taking the money out?
So there's multiple ways. There's multiple ways. There's some that are easy to do. There's some that take some time. Obviously, the easier to do are expensive. The ones that are hard to do, it's free. So there's different methods. Like, let's say this issue is mainly with realtors or people that are into real estate, because that's one of the only businesses that need hard cash. Everything else nowadays takes credit.
What if I want to buy, NVIDIA stock has been going crazy. I want to buy NVIDIA.
Well, I advise people not to ever buy stocks or crypto with credit, because it's not something that you can control.
It's kind of risky, yeah.
Yeah. But if you go into like
a real estate investment,
let's say it's your craft. This is what you can control.
Or what if I want to I want to either do marketing, I want to hire more people, and I want to pretty much put their salaries on credit for a little bit while I build up the business and make the money back, kind of thing.
Yeah, you could definitely do that with ADP. If you put them on payroll, you can pay with credit. Most people have Stripe. My media team, I pay them with credit. They write me an invoice, I pay with credit card, and then I get the points, I get the cash back. At the end of the day, it benefits both parties. It's more organized because they have the receipt on their processor, and it's win-win. Uh-huh. So for most contractors, direct deposit, for absolutely everything, nowadays there's a way to pay with credit. Even my rent now, I pay with credit. And it doesn't.
How do you pay your rent with credit?
So there's this credit card called the Built Credit Card. It's by Wells Fargo. So most places that you allow you to pay rent, let's say you live in an apartment, they'll have a portal and you can pay with a credit card, but they'll charge you like 1.5 to 3%.
Yeah, 3%'s a lot. They're like, oh my God, I'm paying another 3%. So
exactly. So with the Built card, it waives the 3% and it gives you points on top of that. So it gives you 1 point per dollar on every dollar you spent for the rent that you can later transfer to airlines or hotels and get free travel. Mm-hmm. If you think about it, you said that rent is one of the highest expenses you have, right?
It's the highest that everybody has, yeah.
So think about, let's say your rent is $3,000, times that by 12. You're paying $36,000 a year on rent. 36,000 points can take you a round trip to Europe by just doing the things you're normally doing.
Right.
So there's loopholes to when it comes to that. So, but going back to your question, the way to pay rent with a credit card is through a particular credit card. It's not all of them. If you try to pay with American Express, they're going to charge you a fee. You try to pay with Chase, fee. But everyone's realizing that credit is running everything. So we need to figure out how to solve problems. Everyone wants to pay their rent with credit, but they don't want to pay that fee.
Yeah.
So Wells Fargo is like, okay, you know what? I'm going to create this credit card, and I'm going to allow them to.
Oh, but you pay on a portal. You pay because you're paying your.
No, so
your
that one
complex on a portal, your apartment complex.
So that one, I live in a house now, but I got it because I was living in an apartment. So now they mail me a check before the month ends of the exact money that I got to pay for rent, and then I deposit it to the landlord.
Okay, that's what I was gonna, because that's what I. Okay, I could even pay my. What about my commercial leases and things like that?
I don't have any experience in that area, but I'm sure as long as you're able to prove that it's.
Well, no, I mean you can.
Yeah, you can just.
That same card, can I get it off of a business? Can I pay my company?
As long as it's real estate, I'm sure it works that way.
Wow. Yeah, because you would rack up. I'd rack up. I'd pay a ton of rent.
Yeah, I mean, if you're probably spending between this and your house between $5,000 to $7,000 a month, times that by 12. That's huge as far as travel hacking.
Yeah, I'm way higher than that, so it's gonna be a lot. So
Mhm.
yeah, and you use Stripe for that, you said?
No.
Stripe was the payment
To pay
no,
contractors.
So Stripe was there was another company called I looked into called Melio or
Oh, I've heard about a few. I mean, it's the same concept. At the end of the
but
day,
they charge like an originator. There's still a cost,
Mhm.
so like I need to see how much I'm actually saving over the course of time, kind of thing.
Yeah. So when it comes to like real estate, it's a little tricky because you do need hard cash. But it's not impossible. Let's say I have a service where I charge, and this is a way of a lot of people to liquidate credit. I have a service of, let's say I sell Amazon stores for $40,000.
Mm-hmm.
You can buy one from me with credit, and then you can legally ask for a refund, and I have two options: to pay you back in cash or to refund the credit card. So by doing that, when you have a lot of business owners around you,
Mm-hmm.
there's an easy way to liquidate credit. Obviously, some people don't want to take that risk because, like, maybe you don't know them that well and it's a lot of money. But when you have a circle of people that run businesses, of high-ticket businesses, if it came down to it, obviously this type of investment you're not going to be doing every day. So there's a lot of loopholes, and that's one way of doing it. Obviously, they might charge you the 3%, but if you're going to pay 3% to get $40,000 out, it's better than paying the interest rate for a loan, and it's just a one-time. It's not recurring.
No,
3%.
yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, okay.
So there's like for people that are just getting started, let's say you need $5-10 grand. One thing they do is they go and buy something at Costco. Costco's policy is you can return anything at any point, no questions asked, and we'll give you the money back. So you can swipe your card there, return it, get it cash, and then pay off. Put it in your debit card and use it however you want.
Wait, hold on. Wait, so you can get cash back at Costco?
Yeah.
They'll give you cash off of a refund off a credit transaction?
Yeah. So
That's
let's say
crazy. Who else does that? Or do you know?
there's a bunch of places out there. There's like
But yeah, Costco's big on. They're great with return. I know Nordstrom's really.
you can go
good
to
with
like
returns,
luxury
too.
stores. Like you can literally go to the Gucci store tomorrow and buy a bunch of like too expensive bags, and go the next day and be like, oh, she broke up with me. I hate her. I'm not gonna give her this. I need a refund. They might ask you like, okay, do you have the card that you used to purchase?
Yeah.
And you can insert the card, your debit card, and then it'll just get sent to your debit card. And at that point, you just pull it out.
Got it. Oh, but that's a debit. But I want to use a credit card though.
No, you use the credit card to purchase. You use the
Okay.
debit card to get the refund.
Oh, okay. So they don't. But they don't care what card goes on.
Most of the time, no. And this is like I said for people that are just getting started, because at the end of the day, like they're like, oh no, it has to go to the same one. Most people don't care. I've seen it happen multiple
That's
times.
basically. I mean,
It just goes
it's
back
a
to the
money
card.
hack. But you know who's paying for it is the Gucci store. That's who's paying for the transaction. So that's
Exactly.
crazy, man. Yeah,
So,
that's crazy.
A lot of people don't want to talk about this type of topic just because it's like.
It is Yeah, I know. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it works. And if you're gonna use it to make your money and you're not doing anything illegal, then why not do it?
I guess it's not illegal. It's a loophole. I guess you can call it like you said. It's
Exactly.
definitely not illegal, but it's crazy. I didn't think so. I could do that at Costco too. So I can go buy a big screen for the Super Bowl. Shit, I'm gonna install it and then we're gonna watch it. Then I'm gonna.
A lot of people actually
I know,
do
but
that.
the big screen's a pain in the butt to freaking take back. I'm not trying to take that huge ass thing back, but like.
Oh, but you'd be surprised after the Super Bowl, like they return TVs like crazy.
Oh yeah, you worked.
And
there.
I used to
You
work there. I would see
yeah.
like half-eaten turkeys after Thanksgiving, or an empty bottle of
Half-eaten
liquor.
turkeys.
Yeah, people would do like.
Oh, you
some
don't like
crazy
it? What's
stuff.
wrong with the turkey?
Huh.
Tough luck, bud.
They're like, oh, you're not supposed to ask, or like, oh, you know what? It wasn't that good. Okay, here's.
Well,
your
you
money back.
made it. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't be good at these jobs. I don't just take things at face value like that.
Yeah.
So you're supposed to basically just accept whatever excuse these people are supposed to give. A half-eaten turkey. Actually, you're right, man.
Or like
I remember being
a Christmas tree after Christmas.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah, I was in line in Costco and a guy had like a bag of onions that was like half. I'm like, really, bro? You're returning onions? Like, get over it, man.
But I guess that's what you sign up for, like being Costco and offering this. But at the end of the day, they make their money through memberships.
Yeah.
They don't really make it on their product. They make like 10% on top
Yeah.
of what it costs them to make money. I think, don't quote me on that number, but it's very low.
No, I know that memberships is a big thing. That's how they make their money. I'm sure they make the margins on products is probably really, really small. And yeah, that return policy, I've always heard good things about Costco's return policy. My parents are obsessed with Costco. It's a weekly trip to Costco.
It's smart. I mean, they sell you everything in like big quantities for super cheap. Like you have the thing like, oh, you don't like it or you want to try a new product, you can return it.
Yeah. But anyway, that's a crazy, we're talking about those loopholes. Man, so I could pay my rent. Yeah, man, I pay a lot of rent. I'm probably going to be paying rent, especially for my lease for the business for a while because, we're in a big high-rise. I'm obviously never going to buy this $150 million building. So,
oh, nice.
I mean, I don't think it's ever going to happen.
Oh, I thought you said you were going to buy it.
No, hell no. No, I'm never going to buy it. This is we're probably in a $200 million, the big high-rises, even the ones you see. I'm going to be leasing for a while. I intend to be in this space for a while. So if I can pay rent with credit, yeah, man, that's...
All that, I mean, you said you're from Egypt, right?
Yeah, well, my parents are at least, yeah.
But I'm sure you travel there at least, every couple of years? Or you haven't?
I've never... Okay, so we're going to get into that. Hold on. Yeah, we're going to get into that. What we're talking about, the loopholes, yeah. Okay, fine, yeah, we could just start, I guess, yeah, we could talk about... because so all these... Yeah, we'll talk about travel. I'm going to build up... And you're going to help me, bro. I'm going to build up a ton of points.
Yeah.
I already I already have all these offers because I have... I have pretty good credit and, the business is generating money. So I pretty much fit a lot of the categories that they're looking for. And I don't have any inquiries yet.
That's good.
So, yeah. So I'm pretty much...
You're ready to go.
I'm primed. I already know I'm primed, so I'm ready to go. But anyway, let's just say after I get all these points with this Builder credit card or whatever, what did you call it? Built. The Built credit card... I see you on Instagram traveling. I see you doing all this stuff. I haven't been to Egypt. Me and my dad were just talking about it this weekend. I've never been there in my life. I was born and raised in the LA, Southern California general area, and I've just never been there. I have kids now, though, so it's hard. I don't know if I want to take them on a trip that long. It's going to be tough. But anyway, let's just say I could go. How would I get there for free, Elvis? I want to hear about it right now.
So most of the time, it's not 100% free. You'll pay like taxes on it, which is very, very low compared to like
you're talking about ticket. Flight taxes, the airplane taxes. Yeah. Okay.
So when it comes to travel hacking, is so much information, but the two most expensive things you're going to pay for is your hotel and your flight. Everything on your trip is, depending on where you go, you might be able to budget and do all that, but if you cover the two biggest expenses, you have more money to experience your trip.
That would be great, man.
Yeah, that's what I focus on. And that's what got me into getting into credit because I would always see people like, damn, how are they going to Dubai? How are they going to Europe? How are they doing all this? Do they have a job? And then I learned that you could access all that through credit. And it's all redeeming credit card points and miles to get the best value. So a lot of people don't know, and they think they have, I got a welcome bonus with American Express. I have 100,000 points sitting there. Let's see what I can do with this. They look on the portal, American Express portal. One flight from here to Vegas, and it's like $60,000, 60,000 points. Horrible redemption, because you don't want to burn that many points. Because usually they give you 1 cent per point. That's the standard redemption. Okay. So if you buy a
1 cent per point, so the 60,000 is $600.
$600, yeah. So that is horrible. When the right way to do it is you transfer the points to the credit card travel partners. Let's say American Express has Delta, they have Virgin Atlantic, they have KLM. There's a bunch of airlines that takes you to different parts of the world. Right. So if you look for the flight on different airlines, first you have to figure out what are the airport hubs in each country or wherever you want to go. Let's say you want to go from here to Paris. American Airlines flies there. Delta, I don't think Delta flies there. KLM, Virgin Atlantic. So once you know, KLM is the...
I've never heard of KLM. They're an airline?
It's like the first airline in Europe, I believe. It's it's from Amsterdam, I believe.
Then I wouldn't know, yeah.
Yeah, but it's a really nice airline, and it's really known over there. And so you look for the flight directly through the airline and pay with points. So you can actually fly. I'm actually going to Europe in 2-3 weeks, and my flight was the way there. I think it was 10,000 points.
Where are you going?
I'm going to Paris, Barcelona, Denmark, and there's another place. I think Amsterdam again.
Wow, so explain how are you doing that?
So, let's say you were to look for it on the American Express portal. It'll probably be 500,000 points just to get you there, economy. But you go through KLM, let's say, or Virgin, or one of the airlines that flies there. You look for the flight, and you have to find.
First, I look for the flight. Pretty much the flight I want to take.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
So you're gonna do research on the way there and then on the way back. Sometimes you have to find what the hubs are in the U.S. Let's say it's like 7 or 8 different hubs, like L.A., San Francisco, New York, Chicago, Dallas. There's a few. So you want to figure out which airline flights where, and then you start researching which ones are the best ones to land on in Europe. Europe is Paris, Amsterdam, London, Barcelona sometimes. And then you're like, okay, you start finding different. Okay, I want to go from here to here. Run it through the airline. Sometimes you'll find 10,000 point redemption on a flight that would have cost you $700. So at that point, you're not getting 1 cent per point. You're getting a lot more, because it would have, if you're paying 10,000 points, that's $100. But the flight is costing you $600-$700 just to get there. If you fly economy, I'm big on getting the most value out of the points, so I try to fly business class, which you can get some crazy redemptions to go from here to Europe or Europe and back, or Asia, or any place. First class or business class. For right now, I'm coming back from Europe. Business class cost me like 50,000 points, and
that's
$5.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Or 500. Yeah.
But that same flight was $7,000.
Oh, you're coming. Where were you?
I'm coming back from Denmark to LA.
Straight.
So on my way back, yeah.
And you're paying how many points?
50,000 and $5. And that same flight is about
50,000 points and then $5 actual dollars.
Yeah, because you have to pay sometimes the taxes.
$5 is the tax. That's it.
Yeah, some airlines they charge different taxes. Some are very expensive. Some are very, very low.
Is it because maybe it's what airline are you going on?
This one is Austria.
Maybe because it's not American. I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah, usually.
Because I've been on, I know people that work at Delta, and I've got to go from, because I use their
pass.
I used their pass, basically. All I had to do was pay the taxes, and they were way more than that. But I went from here to, where did I go? I went to Milan. I went to Milan, Italy, using that. But I paid like
$200-$300.
Paid like $200, but it was through Delta, so it was an American. It has something to do with the taxes they pay, I'm sure.
Yeah, so they have regions, and they tell you, like, if you fly this many miles, or there's so many variables. But sometimes you'll pay, the lowest I've seen is $5. The highest I've seen is like $1,000 in just taxes alone. So you have to figure out, sometimes it might be like 10,000 points and $1,000, but it's a $10,000 flight. So you're paying 1/10 of the actual value of the flight.
Yeah, some of those flights to Dubai, a business class could be easily 10.
Yeah, I'm actually planning this trip to Dubai for my birthday at the end of the year, and I found one flight that is, it's a suite. So it's a it's for 2 people.
Nice,
so it's me and my girl, and like it has doors, it has like a table for you to eat. Like people come to you.
I've seen it on YouTube, but man, I haven't experienced it. You have to send me the pictures when you go. But yeah,
definitely. And so all that you get it for 50,000 points and $100.
You're getting that Dubai one?
Yeah, and then that would normally cost me about $9,000 per person.
Yeah, jeez, man. Yeah.
So there's a lot of value in points. And there's people that make a lot of money by getting the points and then becoming travel agents. They'll find that $10,000 flight, they sell it for $7,500, and it's costing them $100 and 50,000 points. So they pocket most of it. So there, like I said, with credit, there's so many ways to make money.
That's another loophole right there. That travel agent you just talked about.
Yeah, if you know someone that
somebody that has a skill that knows what they're doing, that's literally obviously using their skill. But yeah.
So like, let's say you wanted to go to Egypt and you're like,
I do, man. We're trying to go. They tell you not to go in the summer. Obviously, it's a desert, but that's kind of just like when I like to travel.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Let's say I go even in late September or something like that.
Yeah, I'm sure. Like there's different websites that will save you all the like hard work.
So we shouldn't be using probably, because I always look on like Expedia or something.
Oh yeah, that's the worst redemption. Not redemption because you can't use points, but that's the worst way to book.
It's because third party kind of site. Expedia. What else do I use? Oh, there's the kayak.
Travelocity, kayak.
Travelocity, yeah.
So you want to book directly with the hotel, And if you travel often, eventually you'll get status with the hotels. So right now we just talked about airlines. With airlines, you can get status also, where if you fly a certain amount of miles, you just get automatically placed on like an upgrade list.
Right.
So you can book a cheap ticket and then eventually be in first class just because you have status. So you can do that too. You have to fly a lot for that. Or get credit cards that are co-branded with the airline. Let's say you get an American Airlines credit card, and they tell you if you spend $200,000 a year on this card, you get platinum status, which is the highest. And platinum, almost every trip is going to be upgraded. So if you have a business that has high spending, that's how you see all these people that fly first class, and you're like, why are they paying so much for this flight? It's because they have the status, they get upgraded. Some people might pay the price.
They've already spent the money, basically.
Yeah, or, I mean, it might be a write-up for them, too. So it's just, there's so many things that can happen. But with hotels, there's different chains. My favorite one is Hyatt because it's very low points, and they give you tons of value if you have status. So with them, you can book the cheapest room as well, and then you get upgraded to suites. I've stayed in, like, some crazy suites over the past couple of years just because I have status by booking very, very low room. I went to Budapest. It looks like an actual castle. I think it was like.
It was a castle. Hell.
It was a castle, and it was like the first bank in the area, but they turned it into a hotel.
Sick.
So they gave us like a 5-bedroom suite. It was crazy the way it was set up, but because I had status, and in other countries they value status more than the U.S. Out here they'll give you a hard time to redeem them or to get upgraded, but anywhere else you get tons of value, and. Sometimes you get like right now that I'm going to Barcelona, I think it was 5,000 points a night. And I get a 2-story suite. So if you know all this, how to redeem it, it makes the most difference. Because if you go to the portal, you might not even have enough for one night if you have a welcome bonus. But if you go directly through the hotel or airline and redeem through them, you'll get the most value out of it.
Yeah, do you think they're ever going to change this? Because I feel like we're getting... You're kind of, I know it's not even really a loophole. You're just going direct. There's no really loophole about it. You don't think they're going to catch on and like pretty much, have you seen people like lower their standards or raise the points that you need?
Yeah, actually right now,
especially right now,
up the point value. Some that were 5,000 points are now 10. But at the end of the day, like there's not many people doing this. Like, if you think about it, the average person
100%,
might get
less than 1%.
Most people won't even get the premium credit cards because they're so expensive.
Yeah.
If you think about it, the American Express Platinum is about $700.
Yeah, I have it.
And those are the ones that give you, they give you the most points. So, and most people will get it once. They'll burn it on like a bad redemption, and that's it. They might get like 2,000 points a month, which is not going to take you anywhere. So the amount of people taking advantage of the loopholes is so low that I highly doubt it'll ever change.
I know. Yeah. I mean, they're not going to change the rules for the minority, I guess.
Yeah.
The super
they make
minority.
so much money off of that one person that went and bought that $600 flight for 600,000 points.
Yeah.
Then, like, it makes the people like us, like, so small that they don't really care for it.
So you just traveling the world, man, huh? I see you a little bit, but I mean, tell us about a cool place out of Budapest you were just talking about. Tell us about some of these cool places you visited.
Yeah, so I think last year I decided to try to go to a different country every month. And I have missed maybe 1 or 2 months, but yeah, all for free. I documented, I posted on my social media, on my Instagram, my stories. I'm trying to get into TikTok and YouTube, but yeah, I've gone to, like, I love Mexico. I go to Mexico maybe like 2 or 3 times a year. I try to stay at an all-inclusive because I don't have to worry about like planning. I don't have to worry about anything. I just take a break.
Yeah, I've done those a lot, but you know.
And they're like Hyatt has really good all-inclusive hotels in Mexico.
But Mexicans don't give you real alcohol.
What do you mean,
bro? I mean,
they give you like the watered down one?
We're in Mexico. I go to Mexico all the time too. I go probably twice a year as well. We'll go to these resorts and literally we'd be chugging tequila bottles. Next thing you know, we're bloated and we can't even feel a drop of liquor. So I don't know what these guys do. That's the humidity
too, because like when you're drinking in a humid
I don't know what they do to their bottles, man. But I just no. I was in Tulum last year or like a year and a half ago. Cabo was my bachelor party. Man, we were chugging and we just can't get. No, I go all the time. There's something to do with you Mexicans and the liquor, you guys. I don't know what you guys do to your bottles.
It's when you mix it with the tacos that are just like.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. And then the guys be, they open their liquor bottles, and he keeps showing me, like, he's making sure that he's showing me that he's ripping off the seal and things like that. And I'm like, all right, man, what that doesn't mean anything. Like, anyway, but yeah, anyway, talk about your the Hyatt trip.
Yeah, like Mexico. I just came back from Mexico a couple of days ago, and I love it because you can actually relax, not have to worry about anything. And Hyatts are usually very, very high quality out there. I've gone to a bunch of places in Europe. What else?
Budapest is random. I feel like that's like a really unique spot. I mean,
yeah, I mainly wanted to go there because the hotel looks so nice. So that's what got me to go there. Because I knew nothing about the place. Yeah. The first places I went when I started travel hacking was the most common places like Paris, Amsterdam, London. But once I saw that they're not really all that. Like most places that are like they put in movies that they're so big and cities, stuff, they end up not being. It's like LA is in every movie, and LA is not that nice. So
that's another topic, but yeah.
So it's just that's how it is. Like the most beautiful places in movies and overhyped places, like you go in person and it's not that great. You can literally go 45 minutes down like from Paris to another city. Yeah. It is completely different environment. It's like really beautiful. Yeah. So I started going to the smaller places. I feel like not many people go to Budapest. This time I'm going to Denmark. I feel like not many people go to Denmark. And they end up being the better places. People are extremely nice in Europe. Mm-hmm. Food is, I mean, you've been...
Food's amazing in Europe. Yeah. They actually have real fruits and real vegetables.
Yeah, all those chemical stuff is not allowed over there.
Yeah, so... That's cool. Yeah, Budapest, all these other travel places. That's awesome. I mean, we're trying to, again, I was telling you, I'm trying to plan something. We'll see what happens, but I'm going to use those tricks, and we'll talk a little more in detail about how to travel hack, because I'm ready, man. I spend a lot of money and I don't get nothing in return. I mean, I get, you know what, I already know what I'm using it on my points the most, and I know I'm getting ripped off. I'm using it on Amazon.
Amazon?
I already know. I could see the conversion, and I know it's not good. But because it's so easy, and I'm in my cart, and I'm just clicking, I was like, oh, shit, it's free. Okay, cool. Yeah,
so that's what they market because they want you to use them like that.
I bet you it's less than one. Amazon's probably less than $1 or whatever on the points.
Anything you do for like cash back or for purchases, you get the worst end of the deal.
So we should be using...
For travel, mainly.
Well, but so... Okay, so for travel, what else should I use my points on? Well, how do I get the most out of my points if I'm trying to buy something off Amazon, I guess you could say?
If you really want to, I wouldn't use points, period, for purchases. Because at the end of the day, like... Because
the conversion is just not there?
Like, if you think about this, like, we just talked about that first class to Europe. For 50,000 points, 50,000 points would be $500. And $100 in taxes, that's $600 total. And you're flying a $7,000 to $10,000 flight. You see the conversion there is like way out of the water. Like,
it's 10
and if you think about like, okay, if I pay 6,000 points for the $60 thing that I want to buy on Amazon, now you could have gone somewhere else. So you could have added that towards something that's going to actually give you good value. And then just pay with a card that gives you points instead, and you're earning more points that you'll redeem for more value.
Okay. So, and do I have to use these points? Are you aware of like... Is there like a limitation, or does it end at the end of the year? Like,
some credit cards will flush them after so long of you not using them. Some will just be there forever. It just depends on the bank. It depends on the airline if you're earning points or miles. It depends on a bunch of different ones. Yeah. So, I mean, but the point is like earn them and use them, because over time things might go up in value. Like, let's say a hotel that was 5,000 points last month and it's 10,000 points next month.
So book it ASAP.
You want to book it as you can.
So in your program or in, kind of the coaching that you do, you kind of go over this all with the people that you're working with?
This is like aside from my service, this is just something that I enjoy doing.
Oh, this is okay.
And people that want to learn, I do create like a course for that, and I teach them, or like they might hit me up like, hey, I'm going to.
Super cool. I'm interested in the travel hacking and obviously the biz. So but they're gonna connect because you're gonna help me get my business line of credit or a business credit card, and then you're gonna help me. Use the points to travel hack. There's also somebody else was telling me about. I don't know if you know anything about this, but is my business supposed to get the Duns and Bradstreet? I think it's called. Am I supposed to get that pretty much registration? I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Yeah. So there's like most people focus on building their business properly, which is huge. You actually do need to do that. But building business credit the old school way, which is getting a Dun and Bradstreet number, then going and getting net 30, net 60, and net 90 accounts at like Office Max.
I don't even know what those are.
So those are like lines of credit almost. So you get a card, they don't look at your credit, and they give you this card and they tell you just pay us before 30, 60, or 90 days. And then that starts reporting to your business credit, and you start building business credit that way. Problem with that is it takes a really long time. It could take a year, 2 years, and that is if you want to get non-personally guaranteed cards. But the thing that most people want from the personal guarantee cards is 0%. But that doesn't exist when you don't do a personally guarantee.
Right.
To get 0%, you always have to PG, and you can get business funding with a year-old business, or even if you just opened it. Right now it's a little harder because everyone's trying to get credit, and the banks know that they might default. So they want to make sure that you have perfect credit before they can lend you on a new LLC. If you have aged LLC and perfect credit, you can get good limits and pretty much any card.
That's good to know. Now, obviously, we're in a different economy now, and kind of things have changed, and you kind of brushed up a little bit about it. But how has credit changed in terms of like banking? Have you seen the credit lines basically decrease because credit's tightening, man? We're in a very like tight credit environment. Interest rates are kind of going through the roof. I've been dealing with it obviously with housing, and how has it affected your market basically?
It affects it a lot actually, because it's like banks are just like a friend of yours, or like a person, right? Like if you walk down the street and you ask someone for $100, what are they gonna tell you? Like, you're crazy, just go away.
Right.
But if a friend of yours comes to you and you've known this friend for a really long time and you know they're going to pay you back, you might just give it if you have it available, you might let them borrow it. So banks are the same way. They're like, okay, if you have no relationship with the bank right now might just be like, you know what, like, no, you're not going to pay me back. Right. Which is what happens during recessions, during like tough times. People rack up a lot of debt and not pay it back. So the bank takes a loss. So right now, the banks are making sure that you have strong relationships with the bank that you're looking to get credit from in order to give you credit. So most people that are just getting funding, they don't really have all those relationships. So the limits, if they have good credit, the limits might not be as high, but you could still get funding for people. It's just not the crazy limits. Before, I could get someone that has 1 year of history, 3 credit cards under their name, 50 to 100 grand. Now you have to have a strong profile to get you to those limits. It's still possible. I still get people over 100 grand, but it's
on
just
a credit card.
On multiple credit cards. It's not just one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's like a mixture of like 3, 4, 5 credit cards. And so yeah, I definitely see the banks not lending as much. Some, for some reason, are lending more. So you got to know who you're applying with, because American Express is one that I would stay away from, because I know that you're getting scared. They're
getting scared.
Yeah, they're cutting lines of credit without, you probably didn't even do anything, and you had a $25,000 line of credit. Now it's 15. So they
I guess they can just do that. I mean,
they can.
You don't have to sign terms or anything like that. Because it probably was already in your terms that they could change the terms.
And a lot of times it has nothing to do with you. It could be like
they're tightening. Yeah.
Your area, like if you're from like Chicago, and you're from like Beverly Hills, you can have the same background, the same everything, but the area in Chicago, they might give you lower limits because they know that people there might not be as willing to pay as someone.
Well, they're a data-driven company.
Yeah, and they get so much information from you. You have no idea. From like how much battery your phone or laptop has when you're applying, to your zip code, to your
That's
IP
some
address.
hacking right there. That's
yeah. Like I like when I'm traveling, sometimes I forget that. Oh, I'm gonna apply for a card for this reason. I'm gonna start a different business. I'm gonna do this and that. I apply, I get declined, and I'm like, I have like 770 credit right now. Why am I getting declined? I call it, and they're like, oh, we flagged it as fraud because you don't live there. So I'm like, oh, it makes sense. So you have to make sure that you're at home. What I do is I hop on Zoom calls with my clients, and I tell them exactly what to do, what credit card in what order, everything. And that's how you're going to get the best results. So they are looking to absolutely everything when it comes to lending credit right now.
Wow, yeah, and like you said, so it's important even what credit cards we get in a row too, to make sure we maximize that. Well, Elvis, I don't want to take too much more of your time, but let's end it off with like, do you have any advice? Do you have any advice for people that are looking, people that don't, because you didn't have good credit at one time, right?
Yeah.
So what's your best advice for somebody who doesn't have good credit? How would they leverage credit? Because I deal with that a lot. How would I leverage credit with bad credit in order to bring up my credit score?
So it depends. I think there's a solution to everything, no matter how bad your credit is at the moment. I mean, you could have a lot of debt. You can transfer the debt to your business. You can consolidate it into a loan. A loan is not going to affect your utilization as a credit card would. Like, let's say you're maxed out $50K and it's all credit. That's all the credit limit you have, and you're maxed out. Your credit score is going to be low. But if you get a personal loan and use a personal loan to pay off the credit card, now your utilization is going to be zero.
Right.
You're still going to make those payments, but an installment loan is going to report different. Let's say you have negatives, you have late payments. Let's say you just have one late payment. You can call the bank and tell them like, hey, this is not the history I have. I was going through something. Try to let them know that it was a mistake. I've seen it happen where they remove a late payment just because you asked. If you have a collection, don't pay collections. People think like, I have a collection, now I have to pay it. If you have a collection, it's because you owe, let's say, Bank of America, say $20, and you didn't pay it, and it's been some time. So what they do is they sell it to a collection agency, and they take your debt, but you don't owe the collection agency. You owe Bank of America. So you can actually dispute that, and it'll get removed. If you pay it, it'll report.
You want to dispute the original creditor, or
dispute the collection. You could tell them I don't owe anything to them, and they'll remove it. Now, if you pay it, your credit is going to take a 100 point dip when the collection appears. If you pay it, it's going to go down another 50. So ideally, you just want to remove that instead of paying it. Everyone gets scared because they do try to press you. They call your job sometimes. They do a lot of illegal stuff. So collections can be removed. Inquiries can be removed. There's a lot of things that can come off. Everything on your credit can be manipulated legally, not necessarily doing anything illegal. So just start looking for those things. If you have bad credit, there's a solution for absolutely everything.
Yeah.
Literally, you're one Google search away from getting the answer that you need to get your credit to where it needs to be. And after that, just focus on continuing to build. Once you get your personal credit really strong, don't ever use it again unless you're getting a car or a house. And then just use business credit for any investment you want to use.
Yeah.
You want to start.
Wow. Okay. Cool, man. Well, obviously, yeah, great advice. Thank you for your time. Appreciate you coming down and hanging out with me on the podcast.
Thank you, man.
I learned a lot, and I'm gonna continue to learn. I'm gonna obviously follow you, and obviously tell everybody where they can follow you at.
Yeah, my Instagram is at Elvis Somoza, ELVIS SOMOZA. I started a TikTok as well and a YouTube channel. It's the same name. So yeah, that's where you guys can follow me.
Cool, man. Again, yeah, thank you for joining us, and thank you everybody for tuning in, and yeah, we appreciate y'all.
Thank you.